So, coming in at number 10, we have extra battery. We all know how annoying it is when one of our electronics like a flashlight runs out of AA batteries, especially when you only have AAA batteries. Well, with this hack, you'll be able to transform your AAA batteries into AA batteries. All you need to do is insert the AAA batteries into the battery slots like you would do if they were AA batteries, and then use aluminum foil to create small balls or squares and simply place them in the gaps between the AAA batteries and the battery connectors. The metal in the aluminum foil will allow you to carry the electric charge over, enabling you to use AAA batteries in a AA battery operated product. This could save your life if you're lost in the woods or your car breaks down and you need a flashlight or other electronic. And if you don't like the outdoors much, it could come in handy if you can't find any spare batteries for your TV remote.
Crayon candle. In the event of an unexpected power outage, we may not always have batteries for flashlights on hand or proper candles. So what can we do instead? Well, if there are crayons laying around, each can be used as an emergency light source for up to 30 minutes. No kidding. Just don't remove the paper wrapping, as it helps by acting as a wick. They can also be melted down into a glass with a wig and used as a proper candle. So for anyone with lots of broken crayons laying around, it may be a good idea to recycle them for future use.
Next up is cut things with cigarettes. Imagine if you were stranded in the woods and needed to cut kindling for a fire, or if you're getting attacked or kidnapped and you need a weapon for self-defense. Well, in these scenarios, a cigarette can come in handy. All you need to do is take a cigarette and light the filter with a cigarette lighter or matches. Let it burn for a second or two, then lick your fingers to wet them and squash the filter down to make a flat end to the cigarette. And this will make the filter razor sharp and you can cut pretty much anything. But this one can be dangerous as the cigarette becomes incredibly sharp. So just be sure not to use this if you're really clumsy.
Fresh water. If ever stranded without water, it can be tempting to use the nearest stream or puddle, but these may contain harmful bacteria. Dew, the water that builds up on grass and leaves in the early morning, doesn't need to be purified and can be easily collected. Using a t-shirt or clean cloth, dew can be collected and wrung out into a container or straight into the mouth. It's possible to gather as much as 2 gallons before the sun causes it to evaporate. In the winter, snow may seem like a good option, but it can increase the likelihood of hypothermia, so it should be melted first.
Next up is clean any water. Picture this, you're stranded in an area and you need water as you're getting dehydrated, but you've already drank all the Voss water and now the only water available is dirty water from a nearby lake or puddle. Well, you shouldn't drink this as the dirt and particles can get stuck in your lungs and throat and make you sick, and of course the germs are also likely to harm you. Well, all you need to filter any water is 2 containers and a cloth. Scoop or cup with your hands the available water into the first container and then put a cloth over the second container. Then pour the water into the first container over the cloth that's on top of the second container, and all of the dirt will get trapped in the cloth and the clean water will drip through into the second container. See, you don't need one of those fancy water bottle filters to survive in the wild.
Hidden money. Nowadays, almost everyone has a cell phone on them, but what they don't often have is cash. In an age where the majority of our money is digital, there aren't as many people carrying physical cash on them. While this typically isn't an issue, some situations may call for a few dollars, such as emergency taxis, as not all taxi cabs take plastic. Slipping a $20 bill or two between our cell phone and its case means we always have a little green on hand in the event of an emergency.
Next up, we have emergency phone charger. If you get stranded on a highway after your car breaks down and your cell phone's out of battery, it may sound like you're screwed, but don't be too negative so fast. Plug your cell phone into your car charger and touch the end of the charger's plug onto the positive side of a 9-volt battery, and then place a key on the negative side of the battery, and your cell phone will start to charge up. This trick will charge your phone up enough to make important calls to breakdown and emergency services, but this hack probably won't charge your phone to 100%, so no messing around playing Clash of Clans, even if your fort did get attacked.
Battery hack. Who else has ever found themselves in need of AA batteries for a lantern or portable radio, but all they have on hand are AAA? Rather than searching for appropriate replacements, there is a very simple hack instead. Taking aluminum or tin foil, roll pieces into balls big enough to fill the missing space in the device. The foil will complete the electrical circuit if placed correctly. This is meant as a temporary solution, however.
Next up, we have use snacks for fire. So while snacks are great for survival if you need food, sometimes you need to make sacrifices to survive, and if you're in a cold environment at night, a fire is sometimes even more important than food. If you have firewood but no tinder, you can use snacks instead. The high calorie count of snack food such as potato chips help to keep the food burning for a long time, giving it a better chance to catch onto your firewood. Bags of chips can be burned along with cereal and ramen noodles. Ramen noodles are soaked in oil, meaning they burn well and slowly, which is ideal for fire starting. So next time you find yourself with food but no fire, then try this out and have warmth and a nice smell of ramen noodle smoke in the air.
Kitchen fires. Dousing fire with water is so ingrained that sometimes we do it without even thinking. In the case of an oil fire in the kitchen, it's the worst thing we can do. When water is poured on a grease or oil fire, the water sinks to the bottom of the pan and evaporates quickly. This causes the oil to rise up and shoot the flames even higher. The best thing to do when faced with an oil fire is to turn off the heat and cover the pan with either the lid or a damp dishcloth. This cuts off the oxygen supply and suffocates the fire.
Next up is escape being tied up. It's a situation we all hope and probably believe will never happen, but over 200,000 people are kidnapped every year in the United States alone. And one of the main methods that kidnappers use to keep people in place and not escape is to tie their hands. But there's a really simple method which many magicians use to avoid being tied up to complete magic tricks, and you can use it too in order to prevent being tied up should you ever get kidnapped. All you have to do is clench your fists tightly to expand the muscles in your wrists, and then when you're being tied up, this will make your hands larger, causing the rope or zip tie to be much less tight around your hands. Then you should be able to wriggle out of the rope or zip tie and untie your feet and anywhere else you might be tied up, and then finally make your great escape. This works best if you have veiny or muscular hands to begin with, as the change will be more significant. But this will work for pretty much anyone.
Leaf rope. Sometimes desperate times call for rope, but if there's none around, we have to make do with alternatives. The fibrous thorn leaves of the yucca or cattail plants work best for this purpose. Dead brown leaves are best, but the green leaves will also work. The outer fibers of the leaves must first be scraped off before they can be weaved into rope. Though it may take some time to achieve great length, it's certainly better than nothing.
Next up, we have car keys. This is another really simple tip that you can use for self-defense. If you're ever being attacked, kidnapped, or just walking through a bad neighborhood, then it's often thought that it's best to put your keys in between your fingers to make a brass knuckle out of keys. But this can often be ineffective, as the keys will slip out of your hands when they hit someone. What you should actually do is place the keys in one line and use your palm to keep them in place. This will create a support for the keys and make any jabs more firm and effective. It may look less scary, but it works a lot better, and you have a greater chance of hurting the mugger or attacker and saving yourself.
Escape a sinking car. The first instinct when trapped in a submerged car may be to try and open the door. However, many people don't realize how difficult it is to open a door underwater. Every second counts, so trying to open the windows is usually a better choice, but even this can be difficult. Since many cars now have automated windows, it's best to try to break them. There are products available that can be placed in the glove box, but should this not be available, anything with a sharp point could work. Self-Heimlich. Since it was first introduced in 1961, the Heimlich maneuver has saved roughly 50,000 people from choking in the United States alone. Though many people know how to perform the maneuver on another person, very few seem to realize it can be performed on themselves. Placing one fist just below the navel and the other palm over the closed fist, then leaning over a counter or the back of a chair can help drive the fist upwards into the diaphragm. Repeating the motion several times can dislodge an object that's become stuck in the throat.
And finally, we have crayon candles. If you're ever out camping and have no flashlight, or maybe you're in your home during a power outage but you don't have any candles, then you might think you'll be sitting in the darkness for a few hours. Well, if you have a few crayons lying around, then you can actually use these as candles. Crayons are made with wax, which is the same thing candles are made from, and because of this, they will continue to burn for long periods of time if you light them. They may not be great for a fancy dinner date, but they'll keep your home lit for at least half an hour if your power ever shuts off. And that just about wraps up this video. Check out the poll in the top right corner and you guys can vote for the best life hack. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe.